So, Watford yet again have sacked their manager. Claudio Ranieri is gone. Someone said in the chat earlier, what was it, 110 days or 106 days or something like that. Not very long, put it this way. And what we need to say immediately is we're dealing with Watford here. And what tends to happen with Watford is people don't look at the individual case of the existing manager. They look at the 10 years or however longer even of the Pozzos in terms of that there's lots and lots of managers. Obviously, it's reasonable to do both things, but you do need to do both things because sometimes I think people don't look at the job a Watford manager has done. They just look at the fact he's been sacked. Yes, they do have a lot of firings, of course, but we need to look at both things there. So Ranieri came in earlier in the season. Xisco Munoz had taken Watford up. Of course, they sacked Vladimir Ivic about November, December time last season in the Championships. Munoz basically came in and, I don't know, what's the right word without patronising Munoz? Basically just got the squad together there, had a big smile on his face, loads of enthusiasm. I'm not saying he didn't have any talent, but those seem to be the main qualities he exhibited. He sort of went to this 4-3-3, didn't he, and got Sarr and Sema into the team, midfield three, and brilliant home record, great defensive record. Watford got promoted into the Premier League. They had actually got quite a good points per game at the point where he was fired. And I don't know how many games it was into the season, 10, 12 or something like that. But Munoz, I think they kind of realised that maybe tactically in the Premier League, given the resources of Watford compared to everybody else, maybe he wasn't going to be the guy. So we then get this story that the Pozzos had tried to hire Don Claudio Ranieri, of course, fabulous managerial CV and most famously won the title with Leicester, but done plenty of other stuff in Italy other than that, of course, with Chelsea at the turn of the century when Abramovich came in, wasn't he, as well? So in comes Ranieri, and he has not lasted long. Let's have a look at the Watford website and the statement. Pretty short and sweet. Watford Football Club confirms the departure of head coach Claudio Ranieri. The Hornets board recognises Claudio as a man of great integrity and honour. He will always be respected here at Vicarage Road for his efforts in leading the team with dignity. However, the board feels that with nearly half of the Premier League campaign remaining, a change in the head coach position now will give a new appointment sufficient time to work with a talented squad to achieve the immediate goal of retaining Premier League status. No further club comment will be made until this appointment is confirmed. Look, it's all much of a Muchness Football Club statement type thing. There is one interesting bit there. The fact that they say it's a talented squad is a little bit of a covert dig at Don Claudio, isn't it? I think they're saying he should have got more out of the squad than he has done. And do you know what? When I look at the front three that Watford can put out, and I'm not saying in terms of every Premier League team, but in terms of the bottom 4, 5, 6 in the Premier League, to have King, who's experienced, Dennis is very good, João Pedro's got a lot of potential, and Sarr can be as good as Sarr wants to be, can't he? So they have got good forwards, I think, in terms of sort of bottom 6 contenders. Have they got enough goals to stay up is the question. Unfortunately for Ranieri, and we can bring up Watford on the other screen real quickly. Here's his record. I was at that first game. I was covering that for Upside Sports. 5-0 against Liverpool. Yeah, fine. Salah was a joke in that game. It was whoever they were playing were going to lose that day. Then he got that big win at Everton. Then a couple of defeats, a couple of 1-0ers against Southampton, at home to Southampton, and at Arsenal. Then there was that mad 4-1 win over Man United that was Solskjaer's last game. So you looked at the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games and he got 6 points. And we're all very much in the camp of, 1 point per game, you're probably going to be all right, especially this season. And remember when he came in, Watford already had 1 point per game. It's this next run, though. Leicester, was that the one that was in the snow? I think it was Leicester in the snow. They actually played quite well against Chelsea. I remember that. and went under. Man City, fine. There's the key one, isn't it? Brentford. They led in that Brentford game, and Claudio made not the best substitution I've ever seen. I covered that one on the channel, and Brentford turned it round and won 2-1. So you can see already these key games. Southampton at home, lost. Brentford away, lost having had the lead. The Burnley game was cancelled, then the Palace game, then the Wolves game. Took a bit of a hammering off West Ham. West Ham are good, okay. Lost in the 95th minute, I think, to Spurs. Then Newcastle away, that's a good result, and they equalised late on. But Norwich at home and 3-0, and it was dismal and awful, and everything that could possibly have gone wrong, even the floodlights going out, an own goal, all of that stuff. And that leaves Watford way off 1 point per game. They've now got 14 points from 20 games. And if you add up all of the sort of defeats, I think it's something silly like 9 or 10 defeats in 12 games or something not very good at all like that. So the issue now is not only did Watford lose heavily to Norwich, but Norwich moved out of the bottom 3 just by winning 2 games. It really is snail racing down there. Norwich have got a minus 32 goal difference, and they're 6 points off a point per game, but they're out of the bottom 3 after that. And there's this big sense that Newcastle are still going to sign 2 or 3 more good first-team players, and they're going to shoot up the table at some point. Everton, well, are they in danger, or will they put in a new manager and, have some kind of bounce? Leeds, I just don't see Leeds being in trouble once they get Phillips and Bamford back and playing. So, it does look like 3 from 4, really. And I suppose in classic Watford terms, they're going for the managerial change now to try and get the bump. I mean, look, going back to what I said at the start of this monologue, with Watford, people will look at the whole Pozzo reign, but you do have to look at 2 things here. So, yes, on the whole Pozzo reign, we all get it. They go through a lot of managers. Fine. That, though, does not mean that this is the wrong decision. That's all I'm saying. We've got to have some balance on it. Yes, I bet, I'll get the comments up in a sec. I bet we'll get some saying, it's crazy, it's ridiculous. They constantly sack managers. Yes, that's true. But Ranieri is, not at the start of his career. He was never going to be there for, 3 years, 5 years? It was probably a job to work with the Pozzos that they wanted to do for years. And secondly, and again, I don't know the exact number, sorry, but I think it's something like 10 defeats in 12 games. So in isolation, he probably did deserve the sack. As much as we all like him and he's a great character and, he's fantastic at Leicester, obviously. I can see both sides of it. I can see it's not unreasonable to say the Pozzos go through too many managers, but it's also not unreasonable to say this is the right decision. And of course, everything now depends on who they hire next. They tend to go foreign, don't they? And what I will say about Watford's actual player recruitment, it's actually pretty innovative. And I mean, look at Dennis this season. There's another good one come in. Sarr, I know, was expensive, but they tend to pick up players, maybe players from the French league or South America. Hernandez is there, isn't he, as well? African players as well. They seem to be quite innovative with where they shop, and they sort of do quite well in that regard. And you look at the last few managers, other than good old Nigel Pearson was there, wasn't he? It's them, Vladimir Ivic, Xisco Munoz, Claudio Ranieri. So I don't know what we'll get. I assume they're on the lookout right now. But yes, that is my reaction. Yes, it's another manager in and out of Watford. Does that make it the wrong decision, though? I'm not entirely sure it does make it the wrong decision, does it? Claudio was losing game after game. It's a low tide this season. Someone will survive with 33 to 36 points tops, maybe, unless someone goes on a big run at the end of the season. Can you see that? Really? Any of that bottom 4 going to do that? So, look, if they hire the right guy and get the right bump, it's the right call. Although some people's perception from outside, and I'm an outsider as well, I'm not a Watford fan, will always be they'll only just focus on the Pozzos. And maybe that's fair, maybe it's not. But yeah, it's not the biggest surprise that this has happen. Ranieri out of Watford. That's my reaction.